Good day and welcome back to another DB Legends video. In this video we're going to talk about supports, everything you need to know, and obviously cover just how big an impact they're going to have, do you need them, etc. So let's talk firstly about how you get supports. So currently there are no free-to-play options. There's no like a reward for missions or an event or anything like that. There are only summonable support characters. I'm sure we will get some kind of free-to-play option in the future, but for now you could only obtain these characters by summoning on a banner. How it works is very simple. You summon on the banner, you can achieve your first copy of these characters. We'll talk about how they upgrade and everything just now, but their rate is currently around about 4 times that of a hero unit. They are at about 2%, which is the biggest drop rate technically, but it's still pretty low considering how many copies you need of them. We'll talk about that just now. Once you have obtained your first copy off a banner, you can then purchase further copies from a Chrono Crystal store. If you do not get lucky and you do not obtain the character, you can purchase them with the summon coins from the banner, provided you haven't got them already. This allows you to obtain at least your first copy of every support by doing 1 full rotation on every banner. So there is at least a safety mechanic, so the players can at least get their very first copy of supports, which will allow you to obviously at least gain access to them. Like I said, once you do have access to the supports, you can purchase further copies, but your first copy has to come from either a drop on the banner or purchased with summon coins from the banner. So you will always have to, at this point in time, be summoning on a banner to obtain them. Now, how do supports work? Well, it's very simple. When you are selecting your party, you now have a support deck at the bottom of your team. This support deck can contain 6 supports at any given time. There are currently only 2 available in game. The supports that you choose in the deck will all have their Z ability apply to the team you've selected them for. So, for example, with this team, I'm going to choose both Yajirobe and Dende. Both of their Z ability boosts, so their strike boosts, their defense boosts, will be applied to this team. So all these characters will gain the raw stat gain from having the 2 supports in my deck. So if we combine Yajirobe's raw stats with Dende's raw stats, all of that gets applied to every single one of my 6 characters. So every character, for example, will gain some strike attack and will gain some strike defense. You then select 1 support to be deployed in battle. When you select that support, their support skill can be activated. So you'll see that Dende has a support skill. It will activate on certain conditions. For example, when we fall below 50% health, when an enemy's combo is started, Dende will then apply a heal to us. This will only occur if we have Dende deployed as our support for battle. So Z abilities apply regardless of whether they're deployed and will be based on who's in the deck, whereas support skills will only be applied and activate in battle should they be deployed. When you are starting a battle that has support functions capable, which is PvP, anything but raid and co-op and things like that, when you do a battle that does that, you will see at the selection screen, you can choose which support is deployed. So, for example, we can obviously set up our supports in our deck, we start the battle, and boom, you will see that we have an option for which supports are deployed. We can change freely here the supports between the supports that are already in the deck. You can't change the deck, but you can change which one you select based on obviously what your opposition's lineup is. Whichever one you choose will have the chance for their skill to activate. So now, how do we upgrade supports? Well, supports can be upgraded to level 99. It's a very different system to characters. Characters have star grading, supports have levels. There are 4 grades to supports. At level 30, level 60, and level 99, they will upgrade into a new grade of support. So at level 29 to 30, Dende will go to grade 2. At level 60, he will go to grade 3. At level 99, he will go to grade 4. This will impact his skill substantially. Every level you gain will impact your Z ability. So you will always gain a boost from leveling your support in terms of the raw stats they provide, but only at the limit break will they get a skill upgrade. When it comes down to the supports, what is super important to take note is that you can upgrade them by obtaining more copies. You will need 110 copies in total to max them out. You can purchase these from the Chrono Crystal store. Whether you buy 5 at a time, 7 at a time, 1 at a time, it will require you to spend 100 Chrono Crystals per copy. So if you're buying 5, you'll need 500 Chrono Crystals. This means to max out the support through the Chrono Crystal store, you will need in total 10,000 or 11,000 Chrono Crystals. Obviously, removing 100 for the very first copy you get from a summon. You will also get them from summons. The copies you drop from summons will only ever be 1 copy. You will have to spend more copies to limit break them. You will need 3 copies to limit break them to grade 2, 5 copies to limit break them to grade 3, and then 7 copies to limit break them to grade 4 from level 98 to 99. So that's the upgrade system. Obviously, it's very expensive. The hope is that they won't bring a lot of supports out very quickly, and players can spend time just having them drop on lots of banners. If they're on lots of banners and they're always there, it won't be so bad. But if they're not on lots of banners, it's going to be a very big problem. So how big a difference do they make? Well, they make quite a big difference. Right now, the skills are not too bad. For example, if you look at Dende, he provides, at max rank, a 2 times per battle 20% heal, which is good, but not game-breaking. It's good, definitely very good. It will impact. It's not game-breaking, but the stats are quite substantial. For example, Dende and Yajirobe at max level give you 10,000 in terms of raw stats. If you look at any character, generally they will range between 200,000 to 280,000 in terms of raw stats. What this means is that any support is anywhere between 2% for offensive stats like Strike and Blast, or 4% for defensive stats at max level. What this means is that eventually if you have 6 strike attack supports, for example, on your strike team, you could be looking at anywhere between an 18 to 20% increase in your offensive stats per character, which is pretty sizable. Obviously, that is a significant Chrono Crystal investment, and it's not possible right now as we only have 2 supports with differing stat makeups, but it does show how big an impact an eventual full support deck, the max level support deck of 6 characters, will make. How this affects the game will depend on how often they let you get them. So it's super important that we as a player base monitor that situation, because supports can become incredibly predatory for the player base in general. But that's it from me. See you guys next time. Bye.